What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar with C-Zar Gets Crypto, and we are talking about BLZ USD Bluzelle today on the Binance chart using the daily time frame. So first and foremost, I got a couple things I want to talk about that are kind of conflicting. We might have found our low. We really might have found our low here. It's too early to say. We could go up from here and still not have found our low. It might be a low in a series of lower lows, and we might be moving up to form a lower high and then continue lower afterwards. Hard to say. We're going to go over all the possibilities, though, or at least most of the possibilities that I'm looking at personally. So obviously here we are, big move up, continued to move upwards at a crawl, but just continue to move upwards overall. Decreasing volume. Generally, when you see this kind of move and you break out of it, you return back to the area where there was volume, which to me, if we're looking at this, right, that would be in this kind of area here, right? From a top perspective, that would be right around 9.8 cents. From a bottom perspective, that would be right around 7.8 cents, right? So about a 2-cent range there. From low to high on this fib, you can see that the 0.5 is pretty close to that line. The 618, the golden ratio itself, is pretty close to that line there. Again, around 8 cents and just below 10 cents, closer, I guess, to 9.7 cents here. It's very possible that we could go down there. It's also very possible that this could be the low. It's really hard to say. Throughout all of this, I've been very confident that we were going to go lower, but now that we've actually hit this zone, it is hard to say if we will. And I think that's where, looking at the RSI might be able to help us. Might being the key word. I want to use the weekly first. The weekly could go down a little bit lower and still be fine. So that definitely leaves room to the downside for sure. The daily is in the overbought or oversold zone right now. We're actually in it, kind of at the line. We've bounced off it before, kind of in this area. Bounced off it before, kind of in this area. You can see the last time we had this bounce, that was the low before we went on this magnificent run. Here was actually the cycle low whenever we were down this low. And then here even was a relative low. We moved up and then ultimately went lower, but you can see here in this area we do get somewhat of significant bounces, don't we? If not, we bleed lower a little bit and then move up. Here doesn't look that significant, but overall from bottom to top, in a very short amount of time, you moved up 27%, but overall you moved up 52%. So, and then same thing here, right? Very big move there. That was like 100 and something percent, probably low 163%. But yeah, we're in the similar zone as all those as far as the RSI goes. Now we aren't as low. I feel like that does stand to leave room for the downside as well. So we could go a little bit lower. I want to go back to this fib and just kind of touch back on something. That way I'm not misleading anybody. But I've been talking about this zone, this 0.5 to the 618 zone, very heavily. But we don't have to go there. We could literally find a bottom right in the middle of these two lines. We could find a bottom right at the lines. It's hard to say. It could be nowhere where I'm talking about, but it doesn't have to go to the golden ratio just because it's called the golden ratio. It doesn't have to go to this zone where we last saw a lot of volume and the volume started to die off after this initial move. We don't have to do that, but that is normal. That kind of movement back down to this area after crawling up like this with volume decreasing, heading back to where the volume was, in my experience, is normal. It's a very normal thing to do. So we aren't quite there yet. I would think that we have a little bit more to drop, but this, if we were to bounce here at the 382, this does suffice for a low, in my opinion. It's a very common retracement. Overall, we've dropped almost 50%, right, in the course of less than a month. So there's that. On the 4-hour time frame, if we're looking at the RSI does look weak. I will say it does look weak. Yes, okay, if you look at it, right, you have a low here, you have a higher low here. Some people might call that bullish divergence. I would not call that bullish divergence because really, if you want to nitpick, sure, this low is lower, and sure, this low is higher, sure. And then the price, obviously, low, lower, low here. That would be bullish divergence to a certain degree. But what you really have is a low here, a lower low here, a lower low here, and you have a low here, a lower low here, a lower. That's bearish convergence. So I don't think that it's bullish divergence. I actually think this was your bullish divergence, and then it continued to move sideways. You didn't get a positive reaction from it. You held this zone, started to slip, and then boom, you went down. Very weak looking RSI, no problem getting into the oversold zone, but you are having a problem even staying in the bullish area of control, which isn't even the overbought zone. It's just above the 60, right? You get up there and you come out. You get up there, you come out. It's just, you don't even get there sometimes. So It is possible. I think, especially with this 4-hour RSI, it does look pretty weak. But we are again in this area of like being oversold, so it is possible that we could move up a little bit from here. But overall, I do think that we have lower to go. If we were to look at this from like a strictly price perspective, I don't really like diagonal lines. I draw them, you know, but yeah, like we could go lower. We definitely could go lower, but we're kind of, if this was a channel downwards, we are kind of at the bottom area of this. So going back up wouldn't be too out of the norm. Again, you know, going back to this fib that I've been talking about, to kind of touch back on that so it's not too confusing, or so that you don't get thrown off if certain things happen. But a bounce here wouldn't be abnormal, and we could still go lower, right? We could bounce here and still end up going lower. Where could we bounce to? Well, we're at the 382. We could go up to the 236, find an overall lower high, right? And then continue to go down from there. Yes, it might be higher than these highs here, but it would be lower than this high here. I don't know. To me, out of this whole range, the high that stands out the most obviously is this one, and then this one here. These highs don't really stand out too much. So all in all, we could even break this high and still be in this lower high kind of formation. But I would think, you know, sooner or later we probably do see some kind of a relief. The relief that we've been getting hasn't been that dramatic. It's been kind of sideways with little moves up, sideways, a little move up here, 7% day, side, you know, same thing here. So maybe we move a little bit lower and then move sideways for about a week or so and then continue to move down. But I do, you know, looking at it, I want to repeat myself and just say that this is an appropriate area to find a low. But don't get too excited if we end up moving up to this 236, because we very well could go all the way down to this sweet spot here. This kind of behavior where you come down, you find support on your 236, you meander, break below, find support on your 382, come back and reject your 236, and then go down to the sweet spot. That's very common. We might not even go up to the 236. We might meander on the 382 as we did the 236, and that would actually make the likelihood of going to the 618 a lot higher. So let's just see what kind of reaction we get. You know, we're definitely in the right area. I think today, tomorrow, it is Wednesday. Tomorrow's going to be Thursday, so probably by the end of the week we will have some more of an idea as to what to expect. At the moment, just looking at the shorter term RSIs, I would expect that we are going to go lower. Volume is picking up as we're going lower. I guess it's dying a little bit too, though, isn't it? You've got volume dying as you had this lower one here. You're a little bit lower now, even in the volume's just dead. So might be overall in an area where we do start to go up from here, but just don't be swayed by it. Bullish divergence on the 1 hour for sure, right? Got low here, higher low, lower lows throughout the whole thing. Definitely bullish divergence. It might even be triple bullish divergence where you have one low here. Here, I'll blow it up so you can see it better. A low here, a low there, a low there, and a low there. So all higher lows, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 lows. But to create one drive of bullish divergence, you need 2 lows, right? That's one drive there. And when you have 3, that's double. 4 is triple. We've got triple bullish divergence. That's normally the most you see before you get some kind of bullish reaction to play out. But unfortunately, you know, this is such a small thing that, like, moving up, I mean, really, we're almost there. We're almost, like, if we moved up just a little bit more, we'd kind of meet the bullish divergence standard. And what we really have, if we look at this a little bit further, is we have a high here, a higher high, and a higher high, while having a high here, a lower high, and a lower high. That's hidden bearish divergence. So you tend to see that in a downtrend, which we're actually definitely in. So we've almost fulfilled this bullish divergence. We are showing weakness in the 1 hour RSI as well. Again, kind of this has no problem being down here, has a lot of problems being up here. I do think that we're going to go lower, guys. I really do. I'm very tempted right now to start DCAing into Bluzelle, being at this price. You know, I think DCAing from here till about, you know, anything that's above 7 cents. I mean, if it went below 7 cents, obviously you can DCA into that too. I just don't expect that it would go below 7 cents. I think that we're going to have a hard time even getting below 8 cents, getting below this low here. But I think anything from here on out, I would give, you know, it's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but I'd give it the green light for DCAing. I'm very tempted myself right now to do it, especially in preparations for this potential move where we could go up to the 236, because, again, yes, this would be very common to go up here and reject and then go to your 618. But it's also very common after a strong move like this to bounce off your 382 and then continue building from there. Now, I personally don't think that's going to happen. I think that the way that this is set up, the way the price is moved, it's a little bit of an exception, let's say, where like this kind of common thing on a strong move might not happen. Here is your strong move. Let's see. Let me just go real quick and see. You know, if we take this relative low here to this top, you bounced off your 382 here, and then you continue to go higher. Maybe if you take the overall low, it might look cleaner. Yeah, that's a little bit more relevant, right? That's something where the bounce off the 382 would be expected. Here, though, that was your strong move. We didn't have really strong moves up. It was very strong for a while. We stayed in this, overbought zone and in the higher readings of the RSI, sure, but this initial move, this kind of stuff is where you'd look to find support on the 382. I wouldn't say that this is so much called for it, but don't be surprised. Again, this is why I'm having a hard time deciding if I want to start or not, and I'm saying that it might be a good time to DCA because we could just go up from here and continue to build highs. Bluzelle, I mean, while everything was going down, man, it just continued to move up stupendously. Even after this initial pump of about 58%, I mean, overall it was more than that, right? From this low to that high, that was 148%. But from this low point here to where it topped off, that was another 180% right there. So even though it marched its way up there, it still did significant things. So showing strength on a lot of things, we're not showing strength. So definitely scratching my head on this. With the daily RSI, with the weekly RSI, with the 4 hour, the 1 hour, all of it, I do think that we stand to go a little bit lower. The purple line is down here, kind of in that zone itself. I think if you wanted to DCA, if you've been patient and you want to DCA and just get some, do not throw the whole bag at this thing. Again, this isn't financial advice. It's your money. You do what you want with it. I'm not making any money from you guys. You're not making any money from me. You either make or lose money at your own discretion, of course. But, if you've been waiting to buy a bag, I think, here we are sitting at about a 50% deficit from the top. I mean, I guess right now we're at a 46.85. I think, that's nice. The risk has kind of gone away a little bit, or it's been mitigated a little bit, but we are just now getting into this oversold zone, okay? Here we are, right here. We actually were right at the oversold zone on this day, on August 3rd. Then August 4th, August 5th, that's whenever we finally bottomed. If we look at this, why I'm comparing it, and it's not that significant here, but we had a lot less significant moves. Here we are playing off of a significant move, so I think we'll get more significance to the downside. But if you bought the first day on August 3rd that we went into the oversold zone, you would have missed like another, let's see, not that much, really not that much, but 4% to the downside, right? Here, if you bought when you first got into the oversold zone, I guess that would have been fine, but we don't have a day that looks like that, do we? Not yet. We don't have a day that looks like that. So different circumstances. Here, you bought into the oversold zone the first day that it got there. Arguably would have been here. I guess we were a little bit above it there, but then, this day we actually had a bigger drop. And again, kind of different circumstances. But even then, on this closing point, you still dropped another 5% or so. Here, you got into the oversold zone on this day, and that was a 9% drop day. From the closing point to the low, that was like an 11% difference. Here overall, you got into the oversold zone on this day at a closing basis to where the actual low was. That was another like 10.5% difference. So just kind of, these, and again, this isn't like similar at all to what we're experiencing right now. These are a lot less significant moves. You can just see, right? They're coming off of insignificant moves where, here, I guess here you got a little bit more significance in structure. So I guess this would be the most similar, and that still led to being like 10.5 or 11% more to the downside once we got into the oversold zone. And where would that take us if we were to see 10.5 to 11%? Let's say we closed right here, just barely in the oversold zone, a 10.5, something like that right there. That would take us to about 10.04 cents. Here we are sitting at 11.6 cents. If you can be patient, if you can wait, it might even go lower than that, right? It might even go lower than that. Like truly, we could go another 33% down from here. But at least, something that's like 8% more or 10% more, something like that, somewhere around these lows, these tops here. I might actually start to DCA once we hit this daily closing high right here at about 10.1, maybe higher. Maybe let's get this daily closing high. Let's do that one, 10.3, yeah, something like that. I might start to DCA there, because then we're at this previous area of support, kind of a previous area of resistance, kind of in this area where we last saw volume as well. So here I am tempted. I definitely am tempted, but I'm just, I guess the whole point of this like ramble that I've had for the last, I don't know how many minutes now, is to just say, it's a relatively good time, I think, to get in now, especially considering that I think this crypto has the potential to go to $100 by the end of this cycle. Here we are at 11 cents right now. Like that's very impressive gains, right? Even if it doesn't go to $100, it only goes to $50 or $20, something like that. That's still very impressive gains. But I very much do think it has the potential to hit $100 by the end of the cycle. 11 cents is a fine time to buy. Okay, 11.9 cents is a fine time to buy, and we're below that. So, you know, I definitely have a hard time saying be patient, but at the same time, it's just not my style to buy when I am convinced that we are going to go lower. And I am convinced that we're going to go lower. I really do think that seeing prices down here around 8 cents to around, you know, just below 10 cents would make sense to me. But I probably will, even though this is the zone that I'm expecting, I probably will start to buy like right around 10.4 cents personally. I will let you guys know when I'm going to buy. You know, by that time, the purple line will probably start moving up. I don't know. You know, we are getting into the oversold zone now. We might start to see some bigger moves. But again, back to what I was saying earlier, we are in this area, kind of in this like descending price range right now. We're at the bottom of it. It would be not totally out of the normal to go up. If we're looking at it from a fib perspective, bouncing from here on the 382 up to the 236 even would not be totally out of the realm would not be out of the realm of expectations. Going up here and then rejecting it is very normal behavior, but we might not do that. We might just continue to creep sideways for a couple days and then bleed down. Something like that would be more convincing to me that we will see the 618 come into effect. But let's just see how the days play out. Let's see how the week plays out, and then we'll go from there. If you guys like the video, leave a thumbs up, subscribe to see more. I'm definitely going to be making videos about this coin regularly for the time being, because we are getting to the point in time where again, I've given it the green light. I feel like it's a fair time to buy. You know, we've met that minimum target of retracing, so I do like it here, but I think it will go lower. So take care, everybody. Have a good day. If you like the video, thumbs ups are always appreciated. Subscribers are even more appreciated. But thank you all for coming. Have a great one. Bye-bye.